Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we do business every single night of the week, 7 nights. We don't take days off for the show. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, and you can call us at 412-575-2600. I'm joined tonight by Andrew Fillipponi of the PM team of 93.7 The Fan. And the big news, and it's a twisting, turning, 5-month marathon of this Brandon Aiyuk situation, Andrew. And tonight, it seems like Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network has indicated that the 49ers are stepping up and trying to get this done so he remains out there. But if he doesn't, then the logical conclusion is what you tweeted a long time ago, that they would be here in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure the compensation, but according to Jerry Dulac, no players will be involved. Your thoughts on this late development? And again, the turns and twists keep coming.
Yeah. I would say Ian Rappaport, welcome to the party. Where you been? Because he tweeted today, deal in place. Just waiting for San Francisco to give a thumbs up. And then Jerry Dulac said no change. And then Mike Garafolo said ironing out the final details of an Aiyuk extension. So I do wonder if this is a PR move by San Francisco to put this out there that it's so close to happening.
It could well be, Andrew, for the exact things you said, that Cleveland made a nice offer to him, including a player they wanted to offset his loss, and then New England with $128 million. If it's about money, and it seems like it's about money with him, then why wouldn't you go there? Okay, you want to be with a better team. How do you know Drake May won't be that guy in New England? So that's kind of strange. I will say this, San Francisco, I think, legitimately does want him, though, only because I think their window is open right now. Next year, Purdy becomes up with a big contract number. They have Trent Williams they got to worry about. They want to keep these guys around if it's at all possible. And I know all the money's headed to the offensive side of the table. But when you have an offense like that with, you know, Christian McCaffrey, you got George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel, you got him, you got Purdy, you got Trent Williams, you got a lot of things going for you in a league that has, you know, a need for offensive scoring. This team knows how to do it. So I can understand both sides of that. I really do. I think they want to keep him. But I also know that what you said is true. If they don't come to a deal, then they'll look at him and say, well, you got a little too diva-ish for us, and you decided to leave even though we, you know, San Francisco made him a good offer.
Yeah, you know, I have a hard time believing that the football people value Brandon Aiyuk in San Francisco as much as the people in New England, Cleveland, or even Pittsburgh. Now, if this deal happens, then I'll have to rethink this, but their max offer a week ago was $26 million, which was way below New England's offer and less than Pittsburgh's, even though California taxes are insane, so $26 million is more like 21 or 22 million here in Pittsburgh, Bob. And they drafted his replacement in the first round. You know, so this idea that they were convinced that they needed Brandon Aiyuk to win this year, I don't agree with that. I think they were preparing for life without him and thought that they had enough weapons there, and also the infrastructure from the coaching staff and from the defensive side of the ball too, where they could trade him and they wouldn't feel the pain and agony of it because of the moves they had made to insulate themselves against an Aiyuk loss. My read is I think they feel like he's a very good receiver, not a great receiver.
And that's how I look at him, as a very good receiver, which makes me wonder why the Steelers—
But other teams are ready to compensate him like a great one, is what I was going to say.
And that's why I have a problem with this. I did from the beginning. You know, he's a very good guy, and he would make the Steelers better. There's no question about that. However, is he worth that kind of money when you have a lot of other things you got to deal with, including George Pickens on the road? And I would be interested to see how Pickens handles all of this. We want to open up the phone lines and ask you at 412-575-2600. We'll also talk about another O'Neal Cruz error tonight that led to a run for the Padres in the first inning. It's the one that has them up right now 1-0. Pirates trying to end an 8-game losing streak. We'll take all those calls when we come back. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live on KDKA+ 7 nights a week. All right, James Palmer is our GMCCR tweet of the night. Used to be on NFL Network. This is the question, honest question. Better quarterback situation this season and beyond, Patriots or Steelers? Now, this is an interesting question because I think Drake May is legit. I like Drake May. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. So New England could be ahead there depending on how things go here. And, Andrew, you got Russell Wilson who's getting up there in age. He hasn't yet really, got into a game. And now I wonder about this Saturday because it seemed like Mike Tomlin, who was adamant he would start this week, I don't know if that's the same feeling at this point, and those calf injuries can be difficult. And then you have Justin Fields. Nobody wanted him. They ended up getting him here for a 6th-round pick. How would you answer that question? Because I like Drake May a lot.
Yeah, New England, we'll see what life is like there after Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But I am a Drake May fan. I think Drake May has some Justin Herbert qualities. Not that he's won anything, but he's put up huge passing stats and is making a lot of money, is probably a top 10 quarterback in the league. I see a guy that did not have a ton to work with last year at North Carolina and a couple years ago, reminiscent of Dan Marino, really, where Dan's junior year was better than his senior year. I think the same thing happened to Drake May. I think if he had been eligible for the draft or come out after the previous season, he would have ended up being, remember the discussion was Caleb Williams or him, Bob, before last year started. So I am a Drake May fan as well. If the Patriots called the Steelers and said, we're offering you Drake May for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, yes, I am making that trade 100%. So I have to answer New England, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, based on...
Wouldn't you? I mean,
if things
would you
don't
not
work
do that?
well,
Would you not swap with them?
I would take Drake May. I like Drake May. But what I'm saying to you, if things do not work out here with either of those guys, and I don't know how you'll come to a conclusion about both anyway, unless they both get a lot of time, and that would include probably an injury to Russell Wilson. But then my question would be, what do you do next? They're both going to become free agents. And if one has a good year, they may want to outprice themselves, or you keep one. If it doesn't go well altogether, then all of a sudden you got to probably go back to square one and start thinking about quarterbacks again, don't you?
Yeah, you would. And I know no one wants to hear this right now, but I'm convinced Dak Prescott's not going to be back in Dallas. I think he's played his cards right where he's going to go to the open market that are not allowed to franchise tag him. I think he feels disrespected and slighted there. And so I ask myself this question. What would he need to do in Dallas this year for me to want him as the quarterback? Because just winning a playoff game or putting up big regular season stats, that's not enough for me, Bob, to make me think he's worth $50 million a year. I'd have to see them go on a substantial playoff run, of which we haven't seen since the mid-'90s, and I would need to view him as the catalyst to want to say, okay, I'm ready to make Dak Prescott a contract that paid him to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Right now, I would not want that, but he's going to be available, and if the Steelers have quarterback problems this year, you have to think they would be interested.
Yeah, a lot of this depends on CeeDee Lamb, and if he gets a deal done, if he doesn't, I got to believe that's going to happen too. There's a lot of these wide receivers who want paid now. They don't want to wait. They want to get it now. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. By the way, Buffalo comes to town. They'll have a workout with the Steelers on Thursday over at Acrisure Stadium, and then on Saturday it's the game. You'll see it on KDKA. Chase Claypool's out for the year. They took a chance on him. He got injured. That ain't going to happen. They had to release put an eye on their third-string quarterback, Shane Buechele, who was the son of Steve Buechele, who was here with the Pirates many years ago. And so they brought in Ben DiNucci. You're going to see him and Mitch Trubisky in this game. I'm sure you're excited about that, Andrew.
Does Trubisky get booed on Saturday? What do you think?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, too, because of the way he performed last year. And it wasn't like he came cheaply either from Chicago. He was making a lot of money as a backup quarterback last year. Bob, do you think it's possible that Fields would actually start this game on Saturday and Wilson would either relieve him or not play at all? Do you think that's actually a possibility now?
Well, again, no one knows the extent of this calf injury, and if he's not ready to play, I don't believe they'll play him. So it'll be this. You'll see again Kyle Allen, and you may see Plumlee this time, although he's been playing all over the place. So absolutely up in the air right now for me, but I'd love to see Russell Wilson. We need to see him what he can do in this situation, and I think he needs time with these new offensive linemen and people he has to deal with on the offensive side. Let's go to the phone lines. Andrew, we have Josiah down in San Antonio. Haven't talked to him in a while. Welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Andrew.
Hey.
Bob, just real quick on the question you just had on the screen between the Steelers quarterback and the Patriots quarterback. The Steelers clearly have the better shot at quarterback. Listen, the Patriots have no clue. Look what they did to Mac Jones. They gave him no offensive line. He has no receivers. They just fired Belichick. That team, the Patriots, are totally in the toilet. They have no shot.
But I don't think Mac Jones is in the same caliber, do you, Josiah? I mean, to me, Drake May is a better quarterback, period, coming out of college.
And then, I know Mac went to Jacksonville, but just real quick, Bob, they did Colin even said the Patriots wide receivers. They're like 32nd this year. That's the dumpster. The Patriots are going nowhere. And just real quickly, Brandon Ayuk, I heard before this report tonight, they said that all the Steelers had to do was offer them any wide receiver, but as long as it wasn't George Pickens. And if that's the case, get the deal done and let's get it over with.
Again, I don't know what the internal workings of that are. I mean, you won on Mari Cooper, absolutely. Van Jefferson or Calvin Austin, I'm so sure that would make them, make this deal happen, Andrew. I still think it's about them wanting to keep Ayuk, period. And if they can do it, they'll do it. If not, then they'll move him on to Pittsburgh.
Bob, I think Van Jefferson was brought here initially to help the wide receivers, the younger ones, along in a new offense that he was familiar with because he was in Atlanta last year. Mm-hmm. I don't think even he expected when he was signed that we were going to be in mid-August and he was going to be the Steelers' wide receiver too. His season high in receiving yards last year was 46. 46. And right now he's pegged to be their number 2 wide receiver. Regardless of what ends up happening in San Francisco, Bob, I just cannot fathom them going into the season with him as their second best wide receiver. There's no evidence that he can be that guy.
Right.
And he's not a spring chicken anymore either. So they've got to do something between now and week 1, in my opinion.
Well, I think they're hoping Roman Wilson comes back from his injury, and I think they believe that Austin could be a contributor here. But you're right, it's still not enough. I wonder about CeeDee Lamb. I was looking at some of the, and you with FanDuel could probably update me. I was looking at another website, and they had CeeDee Lamb destination odds third, behind, I forget the other 2 teams to go to Pittsburgh. Now, I don't think that's going to happen at all. What does FanDuel say about that?
I think they look at it as slim to none that he leaves Dallas because of the franchise tag next year as well. I think that they anticipate he'll show up and probably get a contract extension, actually. That's most of the buzz out of there, that if anyone among these Dallas guys that are kind of on shaky ground, Mike McCarthy in his last year, Dak Prescott, even Micah Parsons coming up close to his contract, the most likely guy to get it is actually CeeDee Lamb. But, Bob, you've heard no buzz about him getting traded. He's a better receiver than Ayuk.
Yeah.
And none of these reporters have said a word about him potentially getting sent packing from Dallas, even though he's been holding out the entire time.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And here's the other thing. Mike McCarthy, looking at odds for coaches who may not be back. I don't know what the expectations are in Dallas this year. I'm sure they're lofty. If he doesn't meet them, could Bill Belichick enter again and be down in Dallas?
Yes. Yes.
I saw his name attached to their odds. I said that could very well happen.
I have a conspiracy theory that he's actually on retainer right now. And he's actually secretly being paid by the Cowboys to scout their players and keep up with them the entire year. If and when Jerry Jones wants to pull the trigger, then Belichick could just seamlessly slide in and coach them from there on out. So, yes, I think Bill Belichick next year could either be the Cowboys, Giants, or Eagles coach.
Interesting.
Somewhere, or maybe, well, not Jets because he burned those bridges a long time ago.
All right, we're going to take a break. Anthony in Verona, hang on. We're going to get to you when we come back. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA+. Ken Rice is standing by in about 8 minutes. He will bring you KDK News at 11. Ken, what do you got?
Hey, Bob. Tonight, a local school board voting to close an elementary school, plus a child in Allegheny County infected with a rare tick-borne disease, and a warning from a local mom about a dangerous TikTok trend. All coming up in minutes, Bob. See you at 11. All
right, Ken, thanks very much. We have a bunch of tweets. Genomics says, sick of hearing about Brandon Ayuk. The guy's a pain in the butt. Let him go. And then we have this one here from All Day Ray Ray, who says Cruz is the new Polanco. He made a terrible error, which cost them a run, and that's the one that they lead by 1-0 San Diego. And then Steel City Delegate says, I've never hated the 49ers more than I do now. I understand they're doing their due diligence to keep a good wide receiver because their window is closing fast, but Ayuk would greatly improve the Steeler offense. So they're not worried about the Steelers. They're worried about the 49ers. Let's get Anthony in Verona on, Andrew, before we go here. Anthony, go ahead. Anthony. I don't know what you're doing, Anthony, or maybe that's our phone line, but it doesn't sound good, does it, Tony?
Bob, how about this stat that Jeff Hathorn just passed along to me?
What's that?
Right now, the Pirates are 6 wins behind Atlanta for the last wild card spot. Atlanta has 62. The Pirates have 56. The Oakland A's have 51. So from a win standpoint right now, the Pirates are closer to the Oakland A's than they are a playoff spot.
And Atlanta is completely, they've just melted down, although I believe they're going to get it back together here. But, yeah, that's pretty – what is only 3 teams now in the National League have – or I don't even know the records now. But
Marlins, Rockies, and Nationals are the only 3 behind them.
3 teams, and that's pretty low standard right there. So, and the Pirates are trailing again. They're hitting last night 1 for 10. Yeah, there was a great catch. And, by the way, Rookie of the Year, I'm leaning more and more toward Jackson Merrill.
We had a private conversation about this on Sunday. You said look out for Jackson Merrill. If you had made that decision then, you would be in a great spot because now the odds makers are basically saying it's even between Skeens and Merrill. Skeens still a favorite, but a very narrow one now over Merrill, and all of that has changed in a week's time.
Yeah.
Actually, less than a week's time.
And it's amazing what he's been able to do, and on both sides. Think about it, he's playing, Paul Skeens is not going to get as many opportunities moving forward because I'm sure they're going to take their time with him, move him back 6 starts, and if they play badly, even when he pitches well, it doesn't necessarily show, what his team is doing. I think team has a lot to do with this, don't you, as well? Padres are right now in a driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think for Rookie of the Year that should factor into it unless it's close and you feel like a guy was put in bigger games and him coming through and producing those stats in bigger games, you put more weight on him. So if the Pirates are out of it in the last 2 months, sorry, Bob.
I'm sorry, too. Good night.
See ya.